Get free silver just like this right here. Get this, for every $5,000 purchased from the Birch Gold Group this month in advance of Veterans Day, they're going to send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. This is it right here. You probably can't tell, but there are the flags right there on the back. Gold is up over 40% since the beginning of this year, and the Birch Gold Group can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they'll send you free silver honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. If you're current or former military, the Birch Gold Group has a special offer just for you. They're waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of satisfied customers, many of whom are RAV viewers, we really want to encourage you to diversify your savings into gold. All you have to do is text the word America to the number 989898 for a free information kit and to claim eligibility for free silver with a qualifying purchase before the end of this month. Again, simply text the word America to the number 989898 today. President Trump meeting with Australia's Prime Minister at the White House. Just moments ago, they wrapped up questions from the media. Many of those questions revolved around trade between the two countries and others.
Of the 8 deals, I would say because of tariffs, 4 or 5 of them were settled. It's an amazing thing, the power of tariffs in terms of our country. But tariffs have always been used against us. We never use them against anywhere else. And now you have a president that for national security reasons and other reasons is using them. And we've become a very rich nation again and a very secure nation again. But we've also become a nation that used that power of tariffs and the power of trade to settle 5 of the 8 wars that I said. I settled 8. I'm very proud of that.
Meantime, President Trump also making headlines this morning for blasting Colombia's president, calling him an illegal drug dealer. We'll have more on that story throughout the day as well. That's a quick check of your headlines.
The next great awakening is here. Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. Andrew Kolvet here with Mikey McCoy. We're going to welcome Savannah Hernandez in just a second. The excellent, the intrepid, the wonderful Savannah Hernandez, who was on the streets with TPUSA Frontlines covering the No Kings protest this weekend. She has some amazing footage. We're going to share it with you. She almost got, jumped by an old boomer, dude. Again, we love the boomers on our side that aren't crazy. But the old hippie boomers, the commies, it's like they won't go away. They're still tormenting our nation all these years later. Okay. I'm going to tell you really quickly before we bring Savannah in about MyPatriotSupply.com. September, well, we're in October now, so there's that. It's a perfect time to ask yourself some questions like, how much food do you have on hand for emergencies? How would you get clean water if the tap went dry tomorrow? I've thought about that a lot, actually. I got barrels of water. My Patriot Supply helped me with that. And I've also got a water filtration system that My Patriot Supply sent me. So if you're anything like me, there's some room for improvement on this stuff. Luckily, our friends at My Patriot Supply are making disaster preparedness easier and more affordable than ever, giving you over $1,500 worth of emergency food and preparedness gear for free. So they just launched their Preparedness Month Mega Kit, and it includes full year of emergency food, a water filtration system, which I already have, that can purify almost any water source, a solar backup generator, and a lot more. And here's the best part. If you go to mypatriotsupply.com/Kirk, so /KIRK, you get 90 preparedness essentials totaling over $1,500 absolutely free. Head to mypatriotsupply.com/Kirk. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Kirk. And you will get everything you need there. You will be prepared. All right, without further ado, I want to welcome Savannah Hernandez. She is an amazing journalist that we have at TPUSA Frontlines. She was in the streets covering the protests. Sav, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew.
Oh, it's great to have you. I've been waiting for this, and you've been doing such great work. For the last month, I've been watching everything you've been putting out, and it's been really important. It's been really encouraging, actually, and just to see that the team is fighting, that we haven't missed a beat, where you are out there doing what you do best, and you're uncovering important stories that nobody else is covering. So let's hear from you. You are an eyewitness to the madness and the mayhem and the hippie commies taken to the streets all over. You were in New York City, correct?
Yes, I was in New York, the epicenter of all of the protests in the nation outside of D.C. So yes, New York City.
Awesome. What did you see? Describe it for the audience that had better things to do on Saturday, like, I don't know, watch college football or hang out
Have
with
a
their
normal family life. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Maybe barbecue.
So when I first got there, it started in Times Square and the crowd was huge. I think the numbers can't be understated here. You had a lot of people that were in New York specifically, marching on behalf of illegal immigrants, marching on behalf of Antifa. The numbers at first are what really drew my attention. Now, the groups inside that were marching, another thing that drew my attention, specifically because Antifa had quite a presence there. And I am noticing, really interesting, after President Trump deemed Antifa a domestic terrorist organization, you now have this movement of people holding up signs of top Democrats like Zohran Mamdani, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Jimmy Kimmel, and labeling them Antifa. So there's this really interesting movement to kind of whitewash what this group really is. But of course, you have those radicals in this protest as well that were holding up a picture of a guillotine with a single MAGA hat at the bottom, kind of signaled that, or looked like they were signaling to behead MAGA people. That was interesting. He also had a big sign reading, "All Nazis go to hell," with a MAGA hat and the word ICE on the banner. And then another sign that said, the MAGA hat is the modern day KKK hat or, Nazi hat. So a lot of the typical things that we were seeing, and it's really interesting, Andrew, because I feel like you had two subsets of people. You had the protesters who had no idea why they were there, had no idea what the event was even about, couldn't even explain the concept of no kings and how it relates to President Trump. And then you had the radical left that were there to essentially state that the other half of America, the 77 million people who voted for President Trump, deserve the death penalty, essentially, because they're Nazis and they're fascists. So those were the two groups in attendance this last Saturday.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of this. There's this effort to say that Antifa doesn't exist and that it just stands for anti-fascist, which, should be a good thing, right? It should be a good thing. I actually find it bizarre that in 2025, we are still having the debate with Democrats that Antifa is a real thing, that they are a militant force of radical leftists that take to the streets to harass federal law enforcement, to harass journalists like you. I mean, Sab, you have had run-ins with Antifa. Is Antifa real?
Yes, Andrew, Antifa is 1,000% real. I have been attacked by them personally. All of my personal friends have been attacked by them. I mean, I was sitting at the Antifa roundtable just a couple weeks ago on behalf of Turning Point USA, and I got to speak with the president about what we've been seeing on the ground for years at this point, because Antifa has been terrorizing law-abiding American citizens, journalists, and quite frankly, it's been so difficult. And there was a period of time in which I was even scared to go and report on the streets of Portland because I knew that there was no police presence there, and Antifa really did run the streets. So if I got hurt, RIP to me, essentially. And this was the mindset of a lot of journalists who have been covering Antifa. And it's funny, Andrew, because the left wing has really been trying to slander everybody at that roundtable and say that we are not real journalists, because I guess real journalism in 2025 is not going to the No Kings protests and highlighting all of the protesters who are calling for violence against half the nation. I guess being a fake journalist is going and covering Antifa and putting your life on the line, trying to highlight the very well organized organization that this is and how violent they've been toward, again, law-abiding American citizens.
Well said, Sav. So I guess our emails are lighting up with people of a certain generation that are mad at me for mentioning that that there was a lot of boomers out there. And I promise you, I remember Charlie would go through this if he ever dared step foot on this landmine. So I apologize. I know better. But here I would just say one more time, please do not feel the need, if you are born before 1964, I believe is the cutoff. You do not have to defend your entire generation. You do not.
Yeah.
And we love you. We love every, patriot that loves this country and wants to put it first. I just want to say, this is not directed at you. You guys are salt of the earth, and you have kept the flame of liberty burning. So please take the compliment and don't just hear that there is a certain contingent of, hippies that never grew out of it. And that's okay to to acknowledge that and to observe the truth there. So, Sav, it feels like maybe you got accosted by one of these people that I'm talking about here. Let's go ahead and play cut 60.
I am here at the No Kings protest. I've been following this protest for about 3 hours now. I am wearing my official New York City press badge, and it says Turning Point USA on it. This is a message for all of the people who say that journalists like myself and the journalists who were at the Antifa roundtable are agitators. I'm standing here doing nothing, and I have had people come up to me, read my press badge, and then try to make a point of telling me that Charlie was a racist anti-Semite and that I am a problem, essentially. All I'm doing is standing here and taking footage.
And I think 58 is actually part of that interaction that you were just reacting to. Let's go ahead and play cut 58.
So you found out that I work for Turning Point, and you said you can't stand here and talk with me because why?
Because Charlie Kirk was a racist, bigot, scum. His rhetoric has ruined thousands of lives.
Can I ask what rhetoric is at the forefront for you that was the most hateful?
I hate his racism. He was an anti-Semite.
So regarding the racism, I myself am a Hispanic Asian woman.
Okay.
He hired me on to, represent his organization.
God bless. Everybody needs a token.
Ooh, everybody needs it. Okay, Sav, I'll let you take that. I mean, this guy's a real peach, real winner. This one.
Yeah, Andrew. And you know what? I have been noticing, ever since September 10th, when people read my press badge now, they have made a point to come up to me because this is the second time this has happened now, because oftentimes when I'm at these events, especially for my own safety, I've just been doing a lot of B-roll footage. I'm not really trying to engage with or interview these protesters because I just feel like we're at a very volatile situation in our country right now. And I'm oftentimes alone at these events. So when I was here this last Saturday, I was simply standing there and these men struck up a conversation with me because they read Turning Point USA on my badge. And again, this man got so agitated that he felt the need to say that Charlie was a racist, anti-Semite, that he was all of these horrific things. And again, I'm trying to give an example of how Charlie was not any of these things. And then this man decides to respond with racism, which is what he's accusing Charlie of. And then, the conversation goes on and he's basically talking about how the right wing is fascist. Meanwhile, he's standing in front of a giant sign, that is labeling all of the left wing's opposition as fascist. And I'm like, no, you guys are the ones that are acting in a fascistic way, silencing people, attacking people. And people in the right wing are really suffering from it and being killed because of it. Do you not see a problem with that? And of course they don't. It's really interesting because I do notice that a very angry contingent of, like I said, this older class. And, Andrew, it's funny. I've been getting the same exact comments where it's like, don't be ageist. Don't be mean to the boomers. Guess what? There's bad millennials. There's bad Gen Zers, too, that are equally as radicalized as the boomers. So, we need to call all of them out. And I don't understand why they are so aggressive. Again, Andrew, this is a 60-year-old man who is hurling what would be considered by the left wing racist insults at me because I work for an organization that's merely on the ground trying to show people what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we just covered Lucy Martinez, the story of the teacher out of Nathan Hale Elementary School who was doing the motion to her neck.
Yeah.
And it's weird to see grown adults behaving so poorly, so terribly, so disgustingly evil. And I just think it's abrupt and it's crazy to see, and it's really discomforting. But I will say, Sav, you're doing a phenomenal job covering this stuff, and I'm glad you're safe. I hope you stay safe because, we need you to be doing this. So always trust your gut, follow your instincts, because the left has been radicalized. And by the way, just so, in a word for the boomers, actually the most violent cohort among liberals, self-described liberals, is 18 to 39. Yeah. So we know that actually it's the younger liberals that are more prone to actual violence. At least these people, yeah, they have some disgusting ideas, but at least, you probably weren't thinking this guy was, going to become violent with you necessarily. He was just being, disgusting. He was being extremely rude, which, fair enough. But anyways,
Andrew, if I could jump in really quickly, last thing is I do feel like this mindset is a direct result of the fact that we never did take care of Antifa, and we saw the normalization of violence, the normalization of dehumanizing, people who you view as your political opposition. This has been a decade of, again, people getting away with very violent and dehumanizing behavior. So now we're seeing public school teachers and people who are responsible with raising the children children of this country, mocking a violent assassination. So really, again, volatile place that we're at as a country right now, Andrew, and being on the ground for it has been insane.
Totally. Thank you so much for joining us, Sav. We're out of time in this segment. And I just want to say thank you again for doing what you're doing. And that point is well made. They are trying to normalize Antifa. That's what all those signs were. That's what George Conway was doing. It's really, really disgusting because Antifa has completely dismissed the liberal values of open debate and open dialogue that Charlie promoted. We'll be right back.